I know, 'cause I've been trapped inside this heart of mine. I'm exhausted tonight, 'cause I can't sleep. No, I can't sleep. I'll just lie awake tonight, 'cause I can't sleep without you beside me. I'll just lie awake tonight, 'cause I can't sleep without you beside me. Without you beside me. Lately I've been losing my direction. I know, 'cause I've been trapped inside this heart of mine. I'm exhausted tonight, 'cause I can't sleep. No, I can't sleep. I'll just lie awake tonight, 'cause I can't sleep without you beside me. I'll just lie awake tonight, 'cause I can't sleep without you beside me. Without you beside me. Without you beside me.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Howdy, everybody. My name is Robbie. I work for Major League Hacking. I'm very, very excited to be here with you this evening. Now, before I get started, I'm going to give a quick plug to my LinkedIn profile. Let me just go ahead and share that one now. I saw some people in the chat earlier complaining how they have too many windows and too many tabs, and I totally relate at the minute. Awesome. Hello, I'm Robbie. I work full-time at AWS, but I am also, in my free time, a European coach at Major League Hacking. I am very, very excited to be here today. We're going to be walking through leveraging a cloud database using CockroachDB. This is a little bit more of an advanced one. If you saw my previous talk about GitHub Pages a few days ago, this is definitely a level above that. But we'll do our best to plow through, and we'll just be following through the tutorial, and hopefully we'll learn some interesting stuff. And then at the end of the course, we'll submit it onto DevPost as well, so that you've submitted something to that challenge, which is fantastic. I see there's a few of you chatting here. Let me just get the comments open as well. Oh, this is Robbie. Indeed, this is Robbie. Hi, I am Robbie. Brilliant. So let's head over to what I've got here. So we're doing this leverage a cloud database challenge. And cloud databases are great because rather than running the database on your local machine, it's all handled by some other company, some other server. You don't need to worry too much about the implementation, the patching of it, keeping everything up to date. It's just like an endpoint, a URL that you can hit and use in your application. So again, like I said, this is going to be a slightly more advanced one, but we'll just walk through it from the beginning and see how we get on. Aiming for about an hour or so. But we're pretty flexible on time, I think, so let's not stress too much about the time. What we're going to make is not quite as exciting perhaps as what we saw with the GitHub pages, but this is a really good way to get familiar with databases behind the scenes and see how that stuff works. So what we'll actually build is just a very simple Python application, a Django application where we can you know, when you lose the words and they just disappear. We're going to build a Django application that connects to our CockroachDB database, and then just see ourselves doing stuff with that. I don't actually normally use VS Code, but when I do use it, I use it with a light theme. I know that's very controversial, but we're going with it anyway. Anything else we got here going on in the chat? Give me some fun stuff, some jokes, keep me entertained. It's 3 minutes past 6 here on a Saturday evening in the UK. I'm in London, and there's, well, not much happening really. Actually, I moved to London in June last year, and I knew that I was starting at AWS Amazon in September. And my previous job was about an hour commute in each direction. It was a bus and a train and a walk, and that was really rough. So I was like, the next job I get, the number one thing I'm going to focus on is having a short commute. So in June, I moved to London, and I rented a flat, which is 8 minutes walk from the AWS office. It's fantastic. It's right in the center of London near Blackfriars. And of course, for the past 6 months, we've been working from home. We're working from home until until at least June 2021 is what the latest rules are for Amazon anyway. So I'm kind of wondering whether it's worth spending so much on a flat in central London. But hey, here we are. What else we got? Yep, we'll be launching CockroachDB in the cloud. I've just been a bit slow about getting started. And my voice is a little bit hoarse today. You'll have to excuse me. So I've got a big glass of water. When I moved into the flat, it came with some glasses. I've basically broken all of them, about 5 since I got here. So I'm constantly buying new glasses. Okay, let's do some tech. So we are going to be leveraging a cloud database with CockroachDB. Let's go ahead, and you want to head to this site, localhackday.mlh.io/build. And notice I left the banner on the bottom in Twitch, but that's totally fine. I can repurpose it with this new banner. Boom. Head to that URL, localhackday.mlh.io/build. When it loads, you're going to go ahead and scroll down to leverage a cloud database. Let me know if this is all too small for you, by the way. My monitor's running at 1080p. It's a 28-inch monitor, so 1080p is where everything's like massive. And I've got 4 windows on it, so it's a little bit small for me. Check-in link. That is actually a fantastic question. I am going to say this is the cheeky behind-the-scenes spreadsheet. Here is the check-in link. Now, I know that you don't want to type in some massive long URL. So you folks are actually going to come on a little secret adventure with me. I'll load up a new Firefox window, make it maximized. And then, before I do that, I'm going to open... I recently learned how to use Firefox containers, and it's so good. So now I'm Major League Hacking. I'm going to go to short.io. Someone's already beaten me to it, posting the link. Well, we're going to go through this anyway. Open dashboard on short.io. Now this is the MLH behind the scenes thing, right? Hackpack. So we'll paste this in here. And I'll go ahead and call this LHD. We call it CockroachDB. How about that? There is your check-in link. I need to figure out how to... Oh, we're going to have the most exciting banner here in Twitch. So we'll say check-in here. Then and head to here. Save that. Go ahead, click on this. Look at that banner with 2 URLs. Nice. There's some really random stuff in here, like this Bob Hodge. I immediately know who did this. Store with Blahaj. There was somewhere a super memey one. Search for Blahaj. Look at all these Blahaj ones. Look at this one. I'm not even sure if I can open this. Let's just do it. My manager always told me it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. Amazing. So if you go to hackpack/blahaj, I think it's the right number. You get a picture of Lahaj. Whistleblower Robbie sued by MLH for 50 million. I don't have 50 million. But yes, I will put this Lahaj link in the chat. Oh, man. There you go, Adam. Right, let's get to it. We're 8 minutes in, and we've done absolutely nothing productive at all. Make sure you head to that check-in link. I put it's on screen. Go down to register and check in. Good. I have registered and checked in. Brilliant. So we can close that, and then the second link is the local hackday build slash localhackday.mlh.io/build. And that's going to bring you down to leverage a cloud database. We're going to click on try 30 days of free usage from CockroachDB. I actually signed up for an account earlier, so I'm going to walk through this in private browsing. And then in classic Blue Peter style, I'll show you one that I made earlier. So we've opened up this link. This brings us to CockroachDB, which is a cloud-based database system. It's fantastic. And we're going to sign up for a free cluster for 30 days. So let's go. Let's get through and go Rob12 plus. Don't spam me at gmail.com. This is, you know how everyone has like an email address that's like your special one, like your important one, you know, your work things go there. You know, maybe if you buy something from the Apple Store or whatever, you put that on. And then everyone has one crappy one that they put on random websites like this. Yeah, this is my rubbish one. Let's go ahead and get started. We made an account. I'm going to go through. Actually, I'll tell you what, since I already made an account earlier, you don't need to see me doing the registration process. It's literally just this. Once you have made an account, we can go to Cockroach Cloud. And it's probably, once you've signed up, going to bring you to a page that looks like this to create a cluster. So we're going to go ahead and create a database in the cloud. We've got two options, got Google Cloud and AWS. Now, when you use that link on the local Hackday page, it brings you to a page where you get a 30-day free trial. So you, even though it says hourly cost here, when you get to the next screen, the payment screen, it will tell you there's a free trial for 30 days. I'm going to go ahead and choose AWS because I'm an AWS man at heart. Plus, given the fact I work for AWS, I feel like I'm kind of obligated to. We'll leave it on AWS. I'm going to choose London. I presume this defaults to your nearest city or something because it picked London automatically, which is great. Nodes, just keep this down at 1. There's no need to have more than 1 node. And it's going to tell you here, for development and testing, you can create a 1-node cluster. For production, you want 3 nodes, but you know, there's overkill for what we're trying to do at the minute. So we're just going to do the 1 node. And then for our hardware, let's keep this on the cheapest option. We don't need to, we don't really need a 900 gigabyte disk with 16 CPUs. And cluster name, modest mute. I'm going to go ahead and call this learn, build, share. VPC peering is not really important for this, so we can just ignore that. I'm going to go ahead and click on next. And it's going to take us to this page where it's got the summary. We said with AWS, I'm going to use the London region, which is EU West 2. Just the 1 node is fine, the low spec one. Hourly cost is 55 cents. Now, the bad news is when you, even though you do it and you get the 30-day free trial, you still need to put in card details. And that is for verification purposes. Also so they can automatically charge you at the end of the 30 days. So do make sure you set a reminder in your calendar to go back and and remove your card details and delete the cluster. Otherwise, you will get charged 55 cents an hour, which starts to add up. I mean, let's say that's 55 cents times 24 hours a day times 7 days in a week. That's, what is that? $92. Gets a bit pricey. Yeah, I'm just seeing a couple of comments here just because I'm moving a little bit quickly, perhaps. Wrong one. Can you tell us what to do initially? Yep, there's 2 URLs scrolling across on the screen at the minute. The first one is for the check-in link. Make sure you head to that and just click on register and check in. And the second link is to a page called local Hackday build page. And then on that page, go down to leverage a cloud database, click on 30 days of free usage. And then on the site that opens up, just go through and register an account. And then go and configure it with basically the default options with 1 node. There should be a trial code filled in here for you as well if you use that link, and that's what gives you the free stuff. put in your card details, go ahead and click on Create Cluster. There is no other way apart from putting in card info. Now, if you're based in the US, I do know about a thing called privacy.com. I've never used it because you have to be based in the US, but my understanding is you can generate a virtual card number, basically. Yeah, you create a virtual card at each place you spend. So you can do that and you don't have to put in your actual real card details if you're based in the US. What else we got? Are there no free cloud databases? Well, you get a 30-day free trial here with Cockroach Cloud. I think Firebase is probably another option. AWS, I know, has a free tier if you want to go and build something on AWS directly. But we're going to walk through CockroachDB in this case. The trial code, I don't know. It's auto-populated when you sign up. If you have messed up your existing setup, just go ahead and register another account. Hardware, choose the lowest, simplest option. Any other questions here? I think we got everything. What do we select for cloud provider? That's totally up to you. Google Cloud is slightly cheaper, although hopefully you don't have to pay anything. I just picked AWS because I work for AWS and I want to support AWS. Okay. Let's keep moving forward. Now, when you create the cluster, it's going to take about 30 minutes to build. And this is because it's actually provisioning on AWS at the minute. It's setting up a bunch of infrastructure behind the scenes. And that takes a bit of time. Now, fortunately, I made a cluster earlier. Here we go, number 2. So number 1 was me just going through and doing a practice run earlier. Number 2 is one that I set up, knowing that that was going to take about 30 minutes. So you may not be able to follow along exactly, but we'll do our best. And like I say, I'm just going to be following the links in the tutorial. So nothing that should be too difficult to find. We're going to be following this one, the Hello World app. Okay, let's go ahead and get up and running here. So I'm going to put this in the corner. I'm going to go away from the super secret spreadsheet. I mean, this is an actually massive spreadsheet. You know, we're talking 400 rows in. It's wild. Okay, build a Python app with CockroachDB and Django. I'm going to hide this thing. And we'll clear my terminal screen. A nice, clean place to start with. Do I have to go to sign up for a free cluster for 30 days? Yes. What are we going to do today? We are going to walk through this tutorial, build a Python app with CockroachDB and Django, which means setting up a database, setting up a very basic Django application, and then if there's time, we'll probably use Postman to interact with the API a bit. Cool. So that's been set up. We're going to walk through here. If you haven't already signed up for an account, we've done that. Install Django. Now, I'm in a folder I've got here, and I'm actually going to use virtual environments in Python. So I'm going to go Python 3, venv, env. Virtual environments are a great way of keeping your Python setups clean and separated. I've always preferred the Node.js approach, where it'll, when you do an npm install, it installs your dependencies locally in that project as opposed to on your system. It's definitely easy to, you know, get your Python setup messed up if you don't use virtual environments. Card details, yeah, it's a bit of a pain. Like I said, privacy.com is an option if you're based in the US. Alternatively, it does say quite clearly when you get to the kind of confirmation screen that it's a 30-day free trial. So if you just make a point of, in a few days or before those 30 days, it's really simple. Just go to your clusters in CockroachDB, go ahead and click on the dots next to it and choose delete cluster, and then you won't be billed. As long as you do that before your 30 days is up, you'll be fine. Google or AWS, totally up to you. Doesn't really matter. Okay, what was it doing? Virtual environments. So I've made the folder. I'm going to do source env bin activate. I'm using power level 10K because they upgraded recently. It's 10K, which gives them all this nice extra stuff. So I can see I'm using Python 3.9, and this is the name of the This is the folder I'm in, the virtual environment I'm using. Let's go ahead and install Django, which is step 1. Python. Now, the nice thing is, because I'm using a virtual environment, I can say Python instead of Python 3. And that refers to Python 3. Let's go ahead, python-m pip install Django. And I'm just going to do it like that. I'm not going to bother with this version restriction. What were the first lines? They were just this one. -m venv and source env bin activate. You don't have to do this. I just prefer to do it because I have a lot of different projects on my system. Too low res. Let me zoom in a little bit. How's that? We are streaming at 1080p, but I'm not sure if Twitch will downscale or not. So we've done that. We've set up our virtual environment. We have installed Django. Let's go to the next bit, and then it says, before installing the backend for Django, you must install one of the following prerequisites. Now, there's this one which is used for production environments. We don't need that right now. Let's just do the simple version for development. So I'm going to open up this link for scicobg2 binary. Scroll down, and right at the bottom, it says you can obtain a standalone package not requiring a compiler or external libraries by installing the binary package. While registering for a sign up today for a free cluster, yeah, default is fine. I would set the nodes to 1, but apart from that, it doesn't really matter if you don't set it to 1. Yeah, let me just put the virtual environment commands in the chat. So we said, wow, you ever have that thing where your dock just like moves between monitors? It's crazy. Python 3-m venv. And we said source env bin activate. What that actually does is a little bit of a detour. Is actually made a folder called env. So if I look in env, there's some stuff in here, and if I look in env bin, a bunch of stuff here, including this file called activate, and I can actually cat. Env bin activate, and this does some crazy Python stuff, some bash scripting, whatever. That's way beyond my head. Basically means that Python will now install everything like to that env folder rather than to the system. So we're installing this binary. So let's go ahead and do pip install scicobg2 binary. Yeah. This does not look good. However, when I faced this issue earlier, I solved the problem by upgrading pip, which actually tells you how to do here. So we'll just do a python-m pip install -- upgrade pip. Brilliant. So that's installed pip. How else are we doing here? For a credit card, you do need to add card details to use CockroachDB. You can also try setting up a database with Firebase or MongoDB Atlas or something like that. But you do need to use card details for CockroachDB. If you use the link on the local Hackday website, it doesn't charge you for the first 30 days. As long as you remove your card details before the end of those 30 days, you'll be fine. And I've pasted those first 2 lines in the chat as well. It's Python 3-m venv and source env bin activate. And the rest of it, I'm just following this this tutorial. I'll put the link for this one in the chat as well, actually. Okay, so you see we've upgraded pip, and then we were just going to run that command again to install the binary. This time it worked fine once we upgraded pip, which is great. So it says here in the instructions, after you've installed the prerequisite, install the backend. So now we're going to go python-m pip install Django CockroachDB. Boom, installed that. The major version of that must match the major version of Django. That was 3.1.2. Django was, wow, it was a long way back. 3. There we go, Django 3.1.5. The major version is just that first digit. It's something called semantic versioning. If you've not heard of that before, it's just a way of versioning stuff. We've installed some of the stuff we need to install now. Let's actually try and get connected to our cluster, our database. Connect to your Cockroach Cloud cluster. I'm going to end up saying this really rudely at some point. Connect to your Cockroach Cloud cluster using the SQL shell. This is actually a separate document we need to follow. So we'll just go ahead and open that one up. And we're going to download the binary. So I'll just copy that. 3. I feel like I did not copy correctly. Let's backspace that. Hit copy. Try again. Okay, amazing. Let's just try and grab the whole thing. Like that. I'm on a Mac, obviously. If you're on Linux or Windows or something, there's slightly different stuff going on. So now I've installed the binary for this, and I know there's a bit of stuff we have to install. It's just the nature of the way these things work. You've got to get the tooling up and running on your local machine, and then once that's installed, it's kind of full steam ahead. Did not do this next step though. Where was it? Copy that, paste that. I feel like this is not copying properly. I don't know what's going on here. Copy that. Overwrite it. And the point is, I can now run Cockroach in my command line. There we go, CockroachDB, the client is installed, which is fantastic. Because now we can actually connect to it using the SQL shell. Where's the... Okay. I don't need VS Code at the minute. Let's make that a bit bigger. Ah, this is so much better. So we have we done all this stuff earlier? Oh yeah, we need to walk through all of this. The tutorial is a little bit odd, but basically we're building a Python app with CockroachDB and Django. We install the backend stuff, and then to connect it, we need to set up our machine for connection. So we head to that link here with the SQL shell, scroll to the top, and we actually have to go through this step, authorize your network. And this is an important point because it's what actually enables your machine to connect to the database in the cloud. By default, that database cannot be accessed by anyone. If it was just a public URL, then it would not be great because anyone could attack it and try and denial of service. It says here, denial of service and brute force password, all these terrible things. So instead, we're going to set up and add our IP address to the allow list. So you can see here, we've actually got our cluster open in Cockroach Cloud. I'm going to head to this networking tab. And again, if it's taken some time for your cluster to get up and running, then just be patient, and then you can just follow these instructions and do it when yours updates. On our networking tab, we'll add a network here. I'm just going to call this Robbie's flat in London. And if you leave it on current network, it's actually going to pre-fill your public IP address. So please don't DDoS my IP address. And we're going to turn on both of these. We'll turn on the console and the client. Hit apply. And again, I'm just following through exactly what it says in the tutorial here. Click add network, type in a name, choose current network is the one that you want. You can kind of jump over all of this. Jump over the VPC peering connection. And then we need to create a SQL user. So we've got our database. My laptop here is allowed to access the database. But then we need to set up a user so we can actually log into the database. So we're following these instructions, and we'll head to SQL users. And then we'll go to add user, enter a username and a password. I'm going to use username Robbie. My password I've got up here. I'll paste this one in. Boom, save. And so now we've added this user, which is really important. And then it says here, all new users are created with full privileges. And we'll just leave that at the default, so that user has permissions to interact with the database. Now, in the top right corner of the console, click the connect button. So let's hit connect, and it brings up this modal, which will give us the information to connect. Now, we use the allow list. We didn't use VPC-peering, we used allow list, and where we where we allow listed my IP address. Following these instructions, we'll leave it at IP allow list. User is Robbie. The region is EU West 2. This is the one that was, the only one was here. This is London. And then for the database, let's leave it on default DB. We'll hit next, and it brings us to this page. Let's go ahead and download this certificate file. And we'll put it not in that one. We'll put it in this one. Something changed in macOS Big Sur. Like they changed how this all changed the kind of interface and stuff, and it's nice, but it feels kind of cramped. I always wish it opened by default a bit more like that, and with this a bit wider. It's just one of those little things that kind of irritates you. That is 100% correct. In fact, I'm going to play games with you in about an hour and a half, Will, and I'm going to absolutely trash you in Rocket League. I'm much better than you are. So we've got our certificate file. We'll go ahead and hit save. And that's going to download. Download the client. We did that. We installed it. And then open your terminal and connect to your database. Let's go ahead and click on copy. Head back to our terminal here. Paste it in. We're not going to run it yet. Just need to change the path here. So SSL root cert, delete that, and just have file name. So what I'm doing there is we're using Cockroach, the client, to interact with our database. It's a PostgreSQL database with the username is Robbie. This long bit is the endpoint for the database. That's the port it's running on. It's the database name. And the certificate is that file we just downloaded, and it's in this same directory. So I'm just going to reference the file name. Let's go ahead and run this, and it's going to ask for a password, and we'll grab that same password that I used earlier to set up the user. So now we've got this up and running. We are actually in and connected to the database, and this is a big moment. I can do, the list tables. When my SQL knowledge is not good. Show tables. I run show tables, and I'm here connected on the database in the cloud. And 0 rows because there's no tables currently in our database. And you can see here it's showing my username at the database, endpoint, the port, and the database name. This is important because this is how we can interact with our database and actually see what's there. And run some commands to add and manipulate our database. So let's go back to our tutorial here, up to step 2. Connect to your cluster using the SQL shell. That's what we've just done. We're now here with the SQL shell. In the SQL shell, issue the following statements to create the Django user and bank database. I tend to avoid copying code where I can. I tend to prefer to just type it out myself because it's a great way I find to learn. Even if I'm, even if it's like a long thing, just rewriting it myself, even if I write it exactly the same, kind of forces me to look at the code that's there and learn about it and try and understand it. Okay, let's go ahead and create this user. So we're going to run create user if not exists Django with password. We're going to use the nice and secure password as our password. Fantastic. And we'll also create a database, calling it bank. So let's just do the same thing. Brilliant. Now I think I can do show users. Is that a thing in SQL? Yeah, nice. So there's the Robbie user that we made earlier. There's the Django user. And then we can also do show databases. And there is the default DB, and here is bank, which is brilliant. Now, the next step is giving that Django user the necessary permissions. So you remember when I made the user here in SQL users, I added the user. When you do that in the web client, it will automatically grant that user like global permissions to do everything. But when we do it with a SQL command, it doesn't give the user any permissions. So we actually need to give that user permissions to interact with that database. So let's say grant all on database bank to Django. Nice. And then let's just go ahead and exit the SQL shell. Our next step is we've set up our database, we've set up a user, and we're going to interact with it. So let's build a Django project to actually do something with the database. So it says in the directory where you'd like to store your code, that's this directory here, use the Django admin command line tools to create an application project. And we installed Django earlier on in step 1. So I can actually just run Django admin start project. And instead of my project, I'm going to call it learn, build, share. We've made that project, and if we walk through here, it describes quite nicely what's happened. So this creates a new project directory called my project. We've called ours learn, build, share. Learn, build, share contains the manage.py script and a subdirectory also named learn, build, share that contains some Python files. We can see that if I do an ls, made a directory learn, build, share. If I ls learn, build, share, it's got the manage.py and a directory within that called learn, build, share. So I can do ls learn, build, share, learn, build, share. And this is kind of the core of our application, the settings and this kind of stuff. Now I'm going to fire up VS Code. So let's put this back in the corner. I've got VS Code open here. And I'm going to open up this directory. This one. Okay, so we've opened this in VS Code. My Windows, I'm struggling with my window management here. Let's put that in that corner. This one's here. Okay, we've opened this up, and then it says fire up the settings file. So learn, build, share, learn, build, share, learn, build, share. Settings.py. And then we have to edit the allowed hosts in this file. So let's go ahead and add 0000. So that means kind of anything. And I'm actually going to add localhost and 127.0.0.1. This as well. This is what will allow my personal machine to access the Django application. And let's save that. And then in the next step, it's add my project, or learn, build, share, as we called it, to the list of installed apps. So at the end of installed apps, we'll go ahead, learn, build, share. Save that. Nice. We'll leave that all in by default. And then in the Cockroach Cloud console, generate the connection parameters. And to do this, I can just head back to connect. And while this loads, we're doing IP allow list. Our user is going to be Django this time for the bank database. Hit next, and then go over to your tool. So instead of the CockroachDB client, and also instead of your app, because we're not using all this, we're just going to go your tool. And this gives us the details we need. So let's fill this out with this information. So in settings.py, change databases to the following. Scroll down to databases. Now the engine, we're going to change this to Django CockroachDB. And this is what we installed earlier as well. And the name is, rather than all this, it's literally just bank. We need to add some more stuff. We'll add user, Django, password is the super secure password. Host is going to be this one from here. That's this long URL. Copy that. And then port is 26257. Ooh, I put poor. Let's change this to port. Save that. Keep going through the tutorial here. Now write the application logic. This is where we're going to use a lot of the kind of existing template code that's in this tutorial to build out a simple Django application that allows us to interact with our database. Now, it says here, after you generate the initial Django project files, you need to build out the application with a few Python files in myproject/myproject, i.e. learn, build, share, which is where we are at the minute. So we're going to start by building some models. Let's right click on this and go to new file, models.py. And in the models.py file, remember what I said earlier about writing out code? Now we're going to do it. Rather than copying it, let's go. From django.db, import models. My laptop is really struggling today, and I don't know why. Let's have a look up here and see what's hogging everything. Chrome is what I'm using to stream. Let's go class customers, models.model. Wow, what happened there? Models.model, ID equals models.auto field, primary key true, name equals models.char field, max length equals 250. Nice. So what's happening here is we're defining the models, which is essentially our tables in the database. And we're saying we're setting up an ID column, just with like an auto field, so auto incrementing, which is our primary key. And we're going to have a name for our customers as well, which is just like a string. So the next one is products, models.model, and they've got ID again. Name equals models.char field. This can get a little bit repetitive, but it's a great way to learn by writing this stuff out, because it forces you to examine what you're writing. You know, like what is a decimal field? 18. Some more here. What was it? Decimal places equals 2. And add orders as well. Looks like we're building some simple purchasing system here. I've got a list of customers. I've got some products that are available for sale. I've got some orders as well. On the topic of sales, actually, I was selling my old iPhone 7 on eBay, and I had scheduled the listing to start on Thursday, just gone. Starting bidding at £57. And then I set an optimistic buy it now price. Wow, did my camera just die? What is going on here? Hey again, folks. Sorry about that. IT issues. My camera's been a little bit unhappy recently, shall we say. I've actually initiated a return with Amazon. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, I was talking about the story of my iPhone, right? So, yeah, I started the bidding at £57, and I put the buy it now price on at an optimistic £144. I'm thinking no one's ever going to go for it. And then I just got a notification earlier saying that someone's bought it at the buy it now price. It's great. Pretty proud of that. Of course, eBay takes their big chunky fee, but yeah. Subtitle: customer equals models dot foreign key, customers on delete equals models dot cas. Wait, is that right? Models dot cascade. There we go. Null equals true. The iPhone was the special edition product red. The red iPhone 7. It was like the first red iPhone Apple had ever done. It was absolutely awesome. And then product is models, many to many field products. Yeah. Yeah, I did pretty well with that. 144 quid. I recently bought the iPhone 12 Pro in Pacific Blue, which is very nice. And then I went and bought the expensive like Apple, whatever they call it, like California Poppy or something, which means orange. It's actually a very nice device, a significant upgrade from my iPhone 7. Okay, we've fleshed out our models file. So we've got our customers, products, and orders. We've got some relationships here. So customers is just basically an ID and a name. Products is very similar with a price field as well. Orders is a bit more interesting because it links customers and products. You've got the product red XR. That's nice. That's a good device as well. That looks really good. Done this. So we set up our models, which is fantastic. Now let's go ahead and do some views. And I'm going to cheat a little bit and go back on what I just said. You know how I said I tend not to copy and paste code? Well, the views code is quite long. And, you know, as much as I love sitting here chatting to you folks, you don't want me to watch me type this entire thing and struggle. So I'm actually going to copy and paste this one. So in our learn build share folder, let's make another new file. And we'll call it views.py. Brilliant. And then let's just go ahead, see the copy works this time. Copy, 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 paste. Hey, look at that. Perfect. And it actually does a pretty good job here as well of explaining what the code does. So you see here, the file defines the application's views as classes. Each view class corresponds to one of the table classes defined in models.py. The methods of these classes define read and write transactions, blah, 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 blah. Basically, it does some great stuff. Don't worry about it too much. There's a product view page. I think there's a customer view page somewhere. There you go, customers view, ping view. Fantastic. Save that file, and then the roots file as well. Let's make another file in here called roots.py. What else is going on in the chat here? If you typed out, be good ASMR. Maybe. My microphone's not that good. Plus, my voice is really hoarse, so I'm very kind of gentle as opposed to lively and animated. Are you a Control C person? Normally not. Actually, I'm a Command C person because I'm a Mac user at heart, but normally I'm pretty good about it. I'm definitely not one of those like Command S people who hit Command S a million times because pretty much everything has an autosave these days anyway. Where do we get to? Roots. Isn't there already a roots file? Yeah, it's called urls.py in Django. Whoops. Right click, delete, move to trash. Let's open our URLs file. What's going on here? So this is instructions, blah, whatever. Got our imports. There's another import here. And the URL patterns as well. So let's grab that. You could just copy and paste this whole file, but I don't really want to overwrite the existing information that's there. So that's saved. Okay, and we've got some endpoints here. We've got customer, we've got product, we've got order. There's ping as well. Now, this is an exciting moment. Set up and run the Django app. So in the top directory, use the manage.py script. That's this one. To create Django migrations that initialize the database of the application. So we're going to run these two commands. When I actually learned about how to do this stuff, rather than learning Django, I learned Laravel, which is a PHP framework. And it's rather than running, Django manage.py, whatever, right? Instead, you run PHP artisan, which is nice because you're a web artisan. You're like a handcrafted. It's beautiful. Laravel was quite an interesting way of modernizing PHP and bringing in that MVC model view controller, the way of building web applications. It's how I learned kind of proper web dev. Was in my first software engineering job. Just a little bit of side story. So Python manage. Hang on, am I in the right directory? No, in the top directory. So that's learn build share. Yeah, so we've got manage.py here. Python manage.py make migrations, learn build share. Make migrations is such a cool command because it will go through all of those models and actually build the migrations for you. Migrations, if you're not aware, are essentially Python scripts, or more generally, it's a script in a web application which runs usually as a one-off and will actually generate the database schema for you. It's like a much nicer way rather than just handwriting SQL statements. We can actually have a look at that file in Where is it? Oh, migrations. The first migration. You see here, this is based on what we put in our models directory. So it's going to create this customers and products and orders and stuff, which is really cool. So we've made the migrations, and now we have to run those migrations. Python manage.py migrate. Run that. It's running these migrations, doing all this awesome stuff. There's our migration learn build share 0001 initial. And it tells us here what's going on. It says this initializes the bank database with the tables defined in models.py, in addition to some other tables with admin functionality. So that's what all this was just kind of the general Django overhead and admin overhead. This was actually the main migration that we were working with. So to verify the migration succeeded, connect to your Cockroach Cloud cluster. What a mouthful. Using the SQL shell and issue the following statements. So you remember how we connected earlier? Was that big long command? It was this one. Now, I only learned this recently. Pro tip for the terminal: if you want to search rather than just kind of hitting the up arrow a million times to find the command you want, you can actually press Control R, even if you're on a Mac, Control R, and type in, say, roach. Look at that. It's found the command. And actually keep going back and keep searching with roach. I don't know how you go forward, to be honest, but yeah. Roach. That was our command. Let's run that again. Oh gosh, something went well. I'm in the wrong directory. So you know it opens that certificate file. We need to be here. So we'll go command again. Password. So I'm signing in with my Robbie account, so I need that long password from earlier. I'll paste that one in. Here we go. So I'm connected to the user Robbie in the cluster on this port. I'm currently using the default DB, but you remember how we made a different database called bank? So let's walk through these commands and actually do it. So what do we use? Bank. You see this has changed in the end. Now instead of default DB, we're actually using bank. My Apple Watch just told me it's time to stand. Let's ignore that for now, like I do every time it does. So we're using bank, and we'll do a show tables, and we can see all this stuff here. Do you need to put in a payment method to use Cockroach Cloud? So you do need to put in card details, unfortunately, at the registration process. But if you use the link from the local Hackday build website, that entitles you to a special 30-day free trial. So if you use that link and then put in your card details, and then set a reminder in your calendar to go ahead and delete the cluster less than 30 days from now, then you won't be charged at all. But you do need to put in some card details up front, unfortunately. So we set this up, and then this is, we did the show tables, and this is actually showing us all the tables in our database now. There's a bunch of admin ones, all the Django stuff, and then we've got learn build share customers, learn build share orders, learn build share orders product, and learn build share products. And this is based on the models we configured: customers, orders, and products. Orders product is a pivot table because we had a many-to-many field. Pivot tables are kind of basically an intermediary table you use when you have many-to-many, i.e. many products can apply to many orders. And then in a new terminal, navigate to the top of my project directory. Let's go ahead and do, I'm using item, so Command D. There we go, opens a second one. And then navigate to the top of that directory. Python manage.py, run server 0000 port 8000. Wow. Oh, I know what the problem is. We're using Python 2.7. This hurts me. This is because I opened the new terminal. I need to assume the environment again. Source end bin. Okay. Yeah. So now Python version 0.9 here, and then the command was that manage command. Brilliant. This is now running. And you notice how, remember earlier in the, I want to say the settings file, I put in a little cheeky extra localhost in the allowed hosts. This just means I can go in my browser to localhost 8000 and actually loads the application. And it's going to say page not found because there is nothing at the root of this application. But it says here, it's actually showing us the URL patterns. I can go /customer. That's going to give us a list of customers. And currently there are no customers, right? Select star from and build share customers. I'm going to give 0 rows, but we can go ahead and add stuff to it. So first, it says to perform simple reads and writes to the database, you can send HTTP requests to the application. So we'll do that in just a second using Postman, I think. But while I'm here, let's go ahead and, man, you know when your SQL skills are dreadful? SQL insert. I don't like W3 School, so let's go ahead with tutorials point. There we go. Insert into learn, build, share customers. Name, values, Robbie, Jakob, Wentworth. Semicolon. Oh no, something went wrong. We'll try getting rid of these parentheses. Insert. Oh, hang on. Yeah, we can do it easier than that. We can just go insert into learn, build, share, customers, values, Robbie, Jakob, Whitworth. Semicolon. I was wrong. Let's do a help on values. What am I doing wrong here? Values. Do I need to put it in brackets? Live debugging. This is why you never do live coding or anything, because it always goes wrong. Column does not exist. Insert into. I feel like I should be able to do this just fine. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Okay, let's reconnect. Password. Okay, and then we say use bank. And then let's just again check that customers table. Oh, it's not called customers, it's called learn, build, share. 0 rows, okay. Let's copy it exactly as they formatted it here. Insert into customers. That's not called customers, it's called learn, build, share customers. Name, values, probably Jakob Whitworth. This time it's going to work. If it doesn't work, oh man, column does not exist. What? This is truly live engineering. If anyone knows how to do an insert SQL statement, do let me know in the chat while I slowly tear my hair out here. Insert into table name, parentheses, column name, close parentheses, values, open parentheses, value, close parentheses, semicolon. Do you have the same columns? No, I don't have the same columns, but I'm skipping all the ones that I don't have, address and salary. All we've got is ID and name, and I shouldn't need to insert an ID because that's auto-generated. For that one, insert into learn, build, share, customers, values. What if it's value? No, value's not allowed. Values Statement ignored. Why does it... Is this because I'm using double quotes? Isn't SQL picky about the kind of quotes you use? No. Like, I don't think Postgres uses different kind of syntax, does it? Oh, wow. That's I just want an example. You know, when you go to documentation and it gives you like everything, it's like, that's great, but I don't need the specific stuff for one random use case. I just need to insert into table name values. Select star from and build share customers. All I'm trying to do is add a record to this database. Tell you what, rather than doing it manually, let's just follow the tutorial. Never deviate from the tutorial, never goes well. So we got to, that's the connection. Okay, to perform simple reads and writes to the database, you can send HTTP requests to the application. You can do this using curl on the terminal, but personally, I'm more of a GUI kind of guy. So I'm going to use an application called Postman. Postman, if you've not come across it before, is a really nice way of testing and interacting with APIs, endpoints. It's just a good way of sending and receiving requests. When you've got like extra headers and stuff, or you're posting data, it's just nice to be able to do that here. Let's see. Hang on, how do I? There we go. I'm going to put this bottom left corner. So the get request URL is actually going to be localhost 8000. It says 0 here. I'm going to use a localhost because I prefer that. Slash customer. Slash customer is actually, let's put this up here. Slash customer is our URL here, which will return a customer. So we're doing a post request. And in that post data, we're going to send, I'm actually going to make that a full height. We're sending the data name Carl. This looks like JSON. Let's go ahead and raw JSON. And we'll make an object and we'll go name. Rather than Carl, I'm going to go Robbie because I'm going to get this to work. So we're sending this JSON object, just the name Robbie Whitworth, and we're posting it up to the customer endpoint that will create a customer for us. Hopefully, if I hit send, oh God, what do we get back? 500 internal server error. What is going on here? Let me go back to our terminal. This one. You call this URL via post, but the URL doesn't end in a slash and you have append slash set. Huh, well, I didn't know about that. That should be a simple fix. Let's put a slash on the end. Let's send again. Okay, now we got back no response, but that's fine. Status 200 OK means all good. It worked. So we can head to our terminal again. So there's a 500. This time it worked. We sent back a 200. And if I look in, let's do select star. This is a really big moment. This is where we're going to see if we actually manage to access our database, insert data into our table. Select star from learn, build, share customers. One row, name, Robbie Whitworth, ID, this long thing. This is a mic drop worthy moment. I'm going to have a celebratory sip of water. Fantastic. So we've managed to insert that. We can go a bit further, actually. And rather than doing a post request, we can also do Let's go ahead and duplicate this one. A get request on customer, and this will just return all the customers in JSON format with the ID and the name. So we can run this again, and instead of Robbie Echo Whitworth, we can go William Robert Russell. Hit send. Again, we got back a 200. And if we go to our, did I just close that? I think I just closed that. If we do a get on this, and when you do a get, you shouldn't really send anything in the body. There we go. We've got a second customer in our database, which is fantastic. Really, really awesome to see. This is up and running. We've got a cloud database. This is running on CockroachDB, somewhere up hosted in AWS world. And we're managing to write data into it, which is brilliant. What else is it telling us here? So we've done this. We've added customers to the customers table. We can get customers from the table as well. You can also query the tables directly in the SQL shell to see the changes, which is what we did in the terminal. Just there. And if I run that command again, there's now 2 rows because Will's in there as well. Interestingly, William Robert Russell is exactly the same length as Robbie Echo Whitworth. Fun fact. AWS World sounds like a theme park name. Yeah. Actually, I work for AWS, and I can tell you we have a theme park hidden underground that we all go to and enjoy, enjoy doing AWS things. Let's explore a little bit more of their application. So with customer, we can post up to customer, or we can just get customer, which returns all the customers, or we can do a get on a customer with the ID. So if I grab the ID here, I can do customer / the ID, hit send, and that is just returning this customer. So what we're doing here is we're sending HTTP requests to our Django application, and our Django application is then communicating with our CockroachDB cluster in the cloud. So this is kind of this is a great example of how you would use a CockroachDB application, or how you would use a CockroachDB in your application, or any cloud database in your application. And because you've got your database off in the cloud somewhere, you've got your application. It doesn't matter where my application is hosted. Right now, it's running on localhost, but it could be on another server somewhere else. And I'm able to interact with it by posting to it. So I could have another application somewhere which interacts with my Django application, which controls writing data into the database directly. It is indeed a chain of data set sending. Let's just explore, see what else we can do here with these other ones. I suspect it's going to be pretty similar. If I go product, if I do a get on product, I'm going to get back nothing because there are no products. But we can post some stuff into products. If you remember what the products looked like, select star from products. It's not products, it's learn, build, share. ID, name, and price. So ID, again, is auto-generated. Name and price we need to configure. Tell you what we'll do. Instead of William Robert Russell, we can't insert Will as a product, but we can insert iPhone 7 product red on 28 gigabytes, which is the iPhone I sold earlier on eBay. And we can, I already forgot what it was. Was it price? Yeah, price. Now, price, let's go ahead and double check the format of that. On our models, price is a decimal field with 2 decimal places. So I'm presuming that I can do it like that, £144. And we're not going to add them as a customer. We're going to add a product. Posting this up, let's go ahead and click on send. We got back a 200, so it probably worked. And then in our terminal, I select star from learn, build, share product again. There's our product. iPhone 7, price was £144. And so if I do a get on all products, there we go. There's my product. There was also orders. Orders is an interesting one because it connects these different models together, customers and products. Let's head to, what was it, URLs, and just see what that looks like. So for orders, we can select an order. but it hasn't. We haven't got endpoints for interacting with it. Let's see what that looks like here. Select star. Actually, let's show the tables again. Show tables. Drag this over a bit. So we had orders, product, customers, and orders product as well. And so if I were to select star from learn build, we're slightly regretting such a long product name. Orders. I think my terminal's having a bad day. I'm going to type exactly the same thing again. So it works fine. So an order has a subtitle and a customer ID, which is interesting because it's also got the product stuff associated as well, right? This is where the pivot table comes in really useful. So we can go select star from learn, build, share. What was it called? Order product. Is that what the table name was? Orders product. Yeah, and it links an order ID to a product ID. Brilliant. How else are we doing here in the chat? We said, so you host your online app and use CockroachDB for cloud store databases. Exactly right. So what you might have is a Node.js application or a Django application like this, or anything really that interacts with the database. And that can be a web app just hosted anywhere that you can host a web app, right? Just on a server or an AWS EC2 instance or in Google Cloud, or you might be hosting it yourself from your own house. And then CockroachDB is a place that lets you store the data in your database. Now, the reason you might want to use something like CockroachDB rather than just running a database yourself on that server is that when you design kind of large applications, you don't just have one single mega server that delivers the whole application. Because if that server crashes, or you need to reboot the server for updates or anything like that, then you're going to be in a bit of trouble. It's not a particularly resilient solution. So instead, using CockroachDB or another cloud database solution enables you to basically move the responsibility of managing the database and keeping it patched and updated and this kind of stuff. It removes that responsibility from you, and then CockroachDB handle it themselves in the cloud, as it were. So if we dig a little bit more into our database here on our overview, look at that. I've already racked up 82 cents just doing this workshop because I already used my free trial. We're running the 2 virtual CPUs. 60 gigabytes of storage is more than enough for even the most simple hobby project. We've got the single node. Now, when you have more complicated setups and you want to build a highly available solution, let's say you're Debenhams, right? They're a big retailer here in the UK. Oh yeah, they're closing down, right? Anyway, yeah, let's say you're a big retailer like Debenhams. You want to have a website that's kind of always up. You can't afford for it to go down, especially at times like Christmas and things. You definitely do not want your application to crash when loads of people are visiting it. And this is very common, right? When the new iPhone came out, I made a point of I wanted to pre-order my new phone, and I went to the Apple website like at 1 o'clock exactly on that Friday, whenever it was released. And the Apple website crashed. I was getting 500 errors. I was getting just timeouts. It was not a good experience. So maybe Apple should hire me, and I'll teach them how to do this stuff properly. What you would do is you host this in AWS. You'd have a few different nodes, so they're like independent machines. A node is basically a server. And that way, even if one of them goes down, then you've still got other nodes available. And there's some more advanced stuff you can do with CockroachDB as well. We saw with the hardware and stuff and how it does availability zones and spreading that between. So an availability zone is like a different data center in the same region. So London has, I think, 2 availability zones. So there's like 2 separate data centers in London. So you understood that pretty well. Cool. There was an interesting one here, Adam. If you had already used your trial, why didn't you follow your own advice and create a new account? That's a great question. And it's one of those things like, really, yeah, you're right. I messed up. The good news is I work for MLH, which means I can get MLH to reimburse me for the 85 cents. That's just gone up by 2 cents. The 85 cents that I've spent here. So final step, right? Really important, because this is the local Hack Day challenge. You need to go ahead and submit it. So let's go to the weekend dev post. We'll join the hackathon. I've already got an account, so I'm going to log in. That is not the right account. I need to log into... Come on. All right. I use 1Password as my password manager. It's on my second screen here, just above my webcam. It's just crashed, which is absolutely fantastic. Oh, there we go. Right, log into my DevPost account. Register for the weekend challenge. I am working solo. In fact, you know what? I already have a team. I'm working with all of you folks who are watching along. Who told me about the challenges? I guess the organizer, right? Technically via email, because I got an email from the South at MLH saying, hey, Robbie, you need to work this weekend. Actually, they said, is there anyone free to work this weekend? We want to run some more challenges. And I said, yes. So I'm actually doing another 2 of these live streams tomorrow. Start project. Manage team. We'll skip this step. Okay, overview. Project name. I mean, this is kind of an odd one, because it's not like, you know, the last session I did was I built this GitHub Pages site, this Robbie.dev thing, which is still live. And this is like a clear thing that we built, right? This one's a little bit different because we've not built something, but what we can do is just submit the Django application we built. So let's go ahead and call this CockroachDB Django app. And then what I like to do when I follow a tutorial for something is I like to actually get the URL for that tutorial and just say creating a simple hello world application Django which interacts with a CockroachDB. So, following that. Fine, there's 97 characters left. We can get rid of the hash, but we don't need that. Mine is 6 characters. 6 characters. This is like, you know, when you write like a personal statement or a job application or something, and there's a word limit or a character limit. It's like, what am I going to sacrifice? Tell you what, let's just say which interacts with CockroachDB. About 5 characters left. Save and continue. There is a much bigger box later, you're right. Negative characters. You know, Twitter, I'm sure this vulnerability has been fixed now, but it used to be that this was actually way back in the day when Twitter had a character limit of 140 as opposed to 280. What it would do is when you would write you're on the Twitter website or the Twitter app on your phone, you write a tweet. Basically, they did client-side validation on the length of that tweet. So if you're writing in the app or on the website, it's not going to let you submit because the website stops you. But if you interact with the Twitter API, they didn't originally do any server-side validation. So you could just post tweets like massive long essays because they would never check how long the tweet was if you sent it as a post request using something like Postman that we just looked at instead of using the actual web interface. There is a bigger box later. You are correct. But it's really important, the bigger box. It's how you reflect on your own work and how you know what's worked for you. I think they've changed this process a bit, actually. This is new. Project story. Inspiration. I mean, we're over time, but I think I've got another 43 minutes yet until I need to absolutely be off. So let's have another sip of water, and then we'll go through and write this together. Inspiration. Inspired by the motivation provided by MLH in the form of being paid in exchange for running a live stream at local hack day build. I felt it important that I turn up and do the job so I can get my dollars. Also, cloud databases are cool. What it does, this simple application follows the, let's delete that hash bit again. Hello world tutorial. Yeah, inspiration, you could go ahead and say this, no one's going to read all of this in a great amount of detail, but it's important for you to kind of, it's great for your own development to be able to talk about what you built and why you built it. Because let's say you're in a job, right? Your manager's not going to monitor what you're doing all the time, but every now and then they might say, hey, what have you been up to? You need to be able to tell them what you've been doing in a way that they can understand, and also tell them why you've been doing it. If you spend the past month just building stuff out with CockroachDB, they're probably going to ask why, and hopefully you're going to say because it's my job and it's for customer work, and not just because you've been messing around. Available at provides a simple Django app for interacting with a CockroachDB cluster in the cloud. How we built it. Following the above mentioned tutorial, challenges we ran into, so many. Python version problems. Lack of SQL knowledge. Laptop being slow. I mean, I feel like these are kind of generic issues. What else challenges to be running into? Not reading instructions properly. Accomplishments we're proud of. Getting it working. We used Postman to interact with the API exposed by our Django application. And this effectively, accurately and correctly acted as an intermediary layer between the user making requests and our CockroachDB cluster. What we learned, how to use CockroachDB. This was a great learning experience, and I learned more about Django routing and SQL statements. What computer do I use and what spec? That is a good question. I am going to bring up my little about this Mac thing. So I have a 6-core i7, 32 gigs of RAM, and a 560X with 512 or 500 gig of storage. When I bought this laptop, it was when I got my first proper job. I managed to save up a bit of money, went out and treated myself to this thing. It was quite expensive. Let's say that it's quite a bit more than the base model, 15-inch MacBook Pro. And 4 weeks after I bought it, Apple came out and released a spec bump, which isn't the end of the world. It's a bit frustrating, but whatever. You learn to live with it. Only 4 weeks. Except the spec bump was basically up to my model. And that was now the base price. So I paid about £1,000 more than I'd had to. And then 6 months after that, so 7 months after I originally bought my laptop, they went out and released a 16-inch MacBook Pro, which is, kind of the refresh. It's a bigger screen. And so now within 7 months of buying my laptop, I was 2 generations out of date. And that was an expensive laptop. It cost more than my car, right? So that hurts a little bit. But it's generally a pretty good machine. I've only had the keyboard replaced once, which is not too bad for these generations of MacBook Pros. And most of the time, it never lets me down. Apart from today, it's just been a bit sluggish. Let's fire up Activity Monitor and see what's going on there. What else is going on here? You got a Mac Mini? Nice. I want one of those newer M1 ones. They look really good. I actually had exactly the same thing with my iPad. I bought the iPad Pro 10.5. Yeah, like the older design with the home button. And then a month after that, they released the whole new refresh with the Face ID and all that good stuff. That hurt me. So what's going on here? This is energy. I don't care about that. CPU. Google Chrome. We use something called StreamYard for streaming onto Twitch. And I can't remember why you run it in Chrome. I think it doesn't work in Firefox. yeah, that is what is hogging my computer. Windows Server, not a clue what this is. Chrome again. Poor Firefox down here at 27% CPU usage. And then memory, what's going on here? Again, flip. Ooh. Firefox at 3 gig. Docker. I definitely don't need Docker open, let's be real. Quit that. Windows Server, not a clue what this is. 1Password is using a gig of RAM. How is 1Password using more than WebStorm? That's wild. Absolutely wild. How insightful. Also, yeah, like I have a 32 gig machine. We're using 26 gig right now. And I don't know what is using all that. I'm pretty certain the sum of this is not 26 gig. But maybe I'm not understanding how memory works. Yeah, the new Mac Minis at M1. They're pretty neat. The M1's really good. I actually want one of the M1 Macs. I got this 16-inch one. So I have the 15-inch one personally, and then I have the 16-inch one for my work at Amazon, which I had to fight for. When I started, they gave me this little Windows laptop. I had to go through a bunch of processes to get the new Mac. They bought me the 16-inch one, and then like Apple released the M1 ones a few weeks later. But the M1 Macs are on a blacklist at the minute. Sorry, a deny list, because Amazon has to go through and do all their IT testing and all whatever stuff they do. Linux, Windows, dual boot life, yes. When I was on Windows, I had a desktop PC, all sorts of trouble with it. Spent ages fighting with the merchant and eventually the credit card company to try and get a refund. Got it back, used that money, built my own PC, and then I installed Windows on it, and then I installed Linux Mint, which is me just like dabbling with Linux for the first time in my life. This is quite a few years ago now, maybe 6 years ago or so. And Linux Mint has an installer. You can basically install it as if it's just a normal Windows application, and so it handles all the partitioning and all that stuff for you. And then I reinstalled Windows to clean up my computer, and then I was stuck because I had used the Linux Mint installer to kind of set up my machine for dual booting. But now that I've reinstalled Windows, Windows didn't know about the Linux Mint installer, so I had no way of ever getting Linux Mint off the machine. Now that I'm a bit more technically experienced, I know I could just wipe the drive, repartition it, and be back to normal. But this is what happens when you're like 15 and you're tinkering with your machine and it doesn't work. Yeah, it's pretty good. What backup software do you use? 1.61 gig. Wow. Let's write out the rest of this. What we learned. What's next? Use know-how. I use Backblaze, which is up here somewhere. I don't know. If you want a Backblaze referral code, let me know, and then I'll get a free month. And you get to make me happy by giving me a free month. What's next for this application? Submit it onto DevPost, and then celebrate and flex our newly developed cloud database skills. Boom. Did you see what I did there with the emoji? I have a bunch of shortcuts set up, so I can type eCool, and it gives me the emoji, or eLaugh, or ePray, or whatever. I actually have a pretty big list. We'll head to System Preferences. Way too many windows here. Gather windows. And we head to keyboard. We're totally off topic now, but we'll go to keyboard. Go to text. And I have all these emojis, and I've had these for years now. I think they finally updated, Apple finally updated the keyboard on iOS, the emoji keyboard, so you can search. I think you could do like the Google keyboard as well, but I don't want to use that. But I've accumulated this massive list over time of emojis. Anything else exciting here? Have I seen your online database on the Discord? I have not. I don't even know where to go in the Discord to find that. If you post a link in the chat, maybe we'll have a look. Yeah, I feel that. I recently got sent a a customer I'm working on with Amazon. They sent me a Surface Pro, and that is not my favorite machine. It's slow. It has McAfee on it. It is ridiculously locked down. You can't download like any exe files. So even installing Microsoft Teams for work was a hassle. It's chaos. Not good. MLH scores output. How can I? I don't know how to type this. Okay, I'll just do it manually. This violates the code of conduct, by the way. I am going to be fuming. I'm presuming it's not going to. Scores hash output. MLH scores made by Adam. Oh, nice. Enter your display name. Update might be fixed now. Story of my life. So what do I type in? Like my username? Oof. Total score 5. Nice. I don't know where this score comes from, but I filled in the address form. I filled in the additional info form. I did that one. Week-long check-in. MLH newsletter. Nice. This is pretty neat. You should be proud of this. Where does the database get hosted? Yeah, I get it. It's the LHD points thing. Where are you hosting the database? Yeah, I've got 3 monitors. So I got my main one as a 28-inch 4K one. I had a 32-inch one, but it was only 1440p. So I started at Amazon in September, and they're like, "Do you need do you need any more equipment to work from home?" I was like, "Yeah, I need a new monitor." And they're like, "Okay, here's your budget." I spent basically double that budget. I got this 28-inch 4K monitor. I've got a really old 1080p one up here. I've got my Mac off to the left. I've got the Surface Pro to the right. Yeah, that's my setup. I bought a new desk recently. So regular viewers, i.e. those of you who saw me last time I did the GitHub Pages thing, I don't think I had this up then. This is my new desk. It's basically it's a bookcase turned on its side, and it actually works really, really well because it's the same height as my main desk. Yeah, I don't think Windows 10S is. I think it's got Windows 10 Enterprise on it because it's like some super corporate lockdown machine. It's built on NAC, your thing. That's pretty neat. I don't know much about NAC. I need to look into it. Power to the problem solvers. Oh, it's one of these. Oh, these I love this kind of stuff. It's like programming without like the fiddly code writing. It's like a layer above that. That is nice. Let's go ahead and finish our submission here. I think it's been longer writing this dev post thing than we did writing the application. Again, the story of every hackathon goer. We built it with Django, Python, CockroachDB. Nice. Technically AWS. Prior to outlinks, it's not live anywhere, so it's going to skip that one. Project media got no pictures. Video demo link, let's skip that. Save and continue. Yeah, I think this is really neat. I don't know where it pulls the data from, but it's good. Additional info. Okay, special prizes. Don't think there's anything here about the. Oh, there we go. Leverage a cloud database. All right, place is selected twice. That's weird. Save and continue. Submit project. I and all my team members have read and agreed about by the rules and the terms of service. Submit project. Boom. Nice. Oh, this looks ugly, but roll with it. I mean, we haven't actually submitted anything. We've just put text on. Where do I add the... I should put it on GitHub, really, shouldn't we? Okay, tell you what, let's make a GitHub repo for this. I'm going to make a new terminal here. Okay, let's do ls. So we can commit... Actually, most of this should go in git ignore. Let's go into learn build share ls. Oh, perfect. And we'll do git init status. So we've got that. Let's do git add dot. Let's do a git commit -m. Initialize project following tutorial. Oh no, what did I do? I didn't want to commit PyCache. Reverse a commit. Git reset dash. Actually, this is a brand new repository, right? And there's only one one commit. Let's just go ahead and delete the Git directory and try that again. Git init. Okay, we'll make a git ignore file, and in it we'll put PyCache. Anything that's a .pyc file. Okay, status. We git add. Now see what the status is. So we've got the ignore file in it, the migrations. Okay, that looks good. I always like to keep my Git repos as clean as possible. You know, you don't want all this extra stuff in there like PyCache and whatnot. So we did a git add, right? And then we'll do a git commit -m. Create Django project that connects to CockroachDB. And the commit. Now I always like to do what is the command? Git branch -m master main. Do that. Okay, so we renamed the main branch to main, and then I'm going to use the command line to create a repository on GitHub. Look at that. Instead of learn build share, we'll call it local hack day build CockroachDB description. Basically what we said earlier. Let's go for public. So we'll yes. Let's see what happened. Created it on GitHub. Added the remote. Does that mean it made a folder? No, I think it did, right? Git status. Git fetch. Git push. Oh, git push set upstream origin main. So you could create a repo using the web interface, but sometimes, like you're in the terminal, I don't want to leave the terminal. Nice, look at that. We've pushed it up. There's definitely a repo open. Boom. Oh, we should add a README. It's very important to add a README. Honestly, like add a README just to explain what it is. Quick start. Say whatever that command was from the tutorial. On install Django. It's Python -m pip install Django. Install CockroachDB binary. Actually, let's just change this. Install dependencies, Django, etc. We had Python -m pip install Django CockroachDB. It doesn't need to install. Actually, let's add a step 0 in here. Set up virtual environment. Python 3 -m then of n of source n of bin activate. Install dependencies. Django. I missed one. It was pip install CockroachDB binary, wasn't it? Is that what he said? Yep. So we installed all that stuff. Made the Django project. We've written the logics provided. Let's go ahead and we've done the migrations. Wait, I missed a bit. Where's the command to boot the application? Here. Python manage.py run server localhost. Is that what I put? No, I did 000 thing. 8,000. Okay, preview that. Beautiful. Now, before committing this, we should actually test it. So let's go ahead and tell you what, let's start fresh. Let's make a new terminal. We'll go ahead and grab the grab code. That. So we'll do a git clone. I'm pretty certain I've already got a folder called that. CockroachDB demo. Demo. So now we're in here. Let's just test that we've actually done this correctly. So we'll go Python 3 env. It's taken a long time. Okay. Source env bin. Ooh, I put active. I should say activate. Let's go ahead and fix that. Activate. Then that install dependencies python-m pip install Django. Install CockroachDB binary. Oh, we need to upgrade pip. Let's go ahead and put a note in about that. This is just kind of good practice for how to write a good README. Note, if you have any errors when installing CockroachDB binary, upgrade pip to 20.3.3 or newer. Command was python -m pip install -- upgrade pip. So, stay on page. I don't want to lose all that. Good, except I didn't spell that correctly. Installing. Have any errors when installing this? Upgrade pip to 23.3 or newer. So we're doing python -m pip install. Yeah, I'm not sure why this is why it keeps using the old version of pip. I think it's because that's the pip version that's associated with my installation of Python 3.9. And so when I upgrade it with a virtual environment, it only upgrades pip in that virtual environment and not globally. Use pip 3. Yeah, that might do it as well. Let's do python -m pip install Django CockroachDB. And then start application, python manage.py. This is actually going to error because I'm already running on yeah, let me stop that. Pi 0000 8000. Oh no. Did I not install the module? Install CockroachDB binary. I just upgraded pip and then didn't actually install the install the thing. Ooh. Run server. Missed out the word run server. And so now we should be running. Perfect. And you'll note the whole point of using the cloud database is that the database is separate from our code. So we've set up a brand new, fresh copy of our application here, but because it still points at the same CockroachDB database cluster, that data is still there because the database is separate from the application. It's actually worth noting, like if you're committing this to GitHub, just be conscious of any credentials that you're committing. So definitely don't commit your certificate file, that .crt. And let's just commit this README. You will notice in the, I want to say the settings file, was it? Yeah, there's a secret key here, and there is the password and these credentials. Strictly speaking, these shouldn't really be in your Git repository, because then anyone who finds your Git repository, right, has the stuff for your database. However, for this particular application, I actually don't worry about that too much because we set up. Wait, where is it? Do you remember we set up in this number is just going up and up. In the networking, the only IP address that's allowed to access this is my flat in London. So that's from my router, right? The public IP of my my flat, basically. So anyone else who tries to access my database will be denied, even if they have the correct credentials, because they get blocked at the network level. But yeah, really, you shouldn't be committing credentials into your Git repository. Should be using environment variables or something like that, or store this in a separate file, right? And then just load that file in as part of this, and then just don't commit that file. We've gone ahead and configured that. We've got our README. Let's go back to dev posts. Too many windows here. Go back to dev post, and we want to put this GitHub repo here. This is an important step, because otherwise you're not really actually submitting anything. You're just writing about what you did. So submit that, save and continue. Save and continue. Product submitted. Nice. So if I go back, I don't know if the gallery's open actually. Can I view the submissions? Oh, project gallery. No, it's not live. But I can go to my portfolio. There we go. Submitted to local Hack Day build weekend challenges. Written about it, and we got a link to the GitHub repo. Perfect. Yeah, trying to rack up those charges like the $1. I don't think anyone's going to get too upset about that. We will probably get upset about the the $102 steak I bought in Denmark at my first hackathon abroad as a MLH coach. Look at that. We have successfully submitted something to the challenge. We said it would take an hour. It took an hour and 44, mainly because I was rambling the entire time. And yes, it was the best steak I've ever had. So what we did is we set up a cluster using CockroachDB. So we've got a database in the cloud, currently hosted on AWS. We built out a Django application, which allows us to interact with that database. And you can see here, we've got some customers. And then I can go, what is it, with a product? Yeah, we can see the product that I put in there as well. The iPhone 7, which I sold on eBay today for £144. And we put it on GitHub as well. And then submitted that to DevPost. And if you submit it onto DevPost, that's how you have completed the challenge, right? So does this mean if I go to this MLH scores thing, which Adam kindly built, if we reload, is this going to update in real time? Still 5. I'm not sure why this takes a little bit longer to update. It's possible that you have to wait until after the weekend is done. I'm not sure. But that has been the... Oh, it doesn't have that challenge on yet. Okay, when you get a moment, put it on, because I really want to see this say 6 instead of 5. That's been the Leverage a Cloud Database stream. It's been really, really exciting. I've enjoyed chatting to you folks. It's been pretty laid back, and again, apologies about my my hoarse voice. But I hope you found this interesting and that you've learned something. You should be able to go on to your clusters. If you created one at the beginning of the session, should definitely be available now. And then a few days from now, like a week or two, just make sure you go on here and you actually go ahead and delete the cluster and go and remove your card details from Cockroach Cloud. Otherwise, you're going to end up being charged, which is not good. I would consider showing my monitor setup if I didn't currently have 2 glasses, 2 mugs, an empty bowl, 4 cans of Pepsi Max, and some Celebrations wrappers on my desk. Another day, perhaps. Another day. Brilliant. Folks, that's kind of bringing the session to an end. It's been an absolute pleasure to hang out with you all. I hope you found this useful and enjoyable. Really, really, really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot about CockroachDB, and I hope you have as well. And remember that you can apply these skills to any kind of general cloud database. If you've got a database hosted within AWS directly, or you go onto Google Cloud, you set something up with Firebase. Good stuff, good stuff. But it's been my pleasure. I will be live tomorrow. Let's have a look at this. When will I be live? So currently doing a cloud database. I will be live again tomorrow at 11 o'clock UK time, 6 o'clock Eastern. We'll be creating a hackathon brand for something you love. Haven't figured out what I'm going to do for this yet. But hopefully by tomorrow I will. and then I'm on again at 6 p.m. UK time, so 1 p.m. Eastern time, using GPS or maps technology. Again, need to figure out what I'm going to do for that. My very first hackathon project was using Google Maps, so maybe we'll dive back into my first ever hackathon project. And I'll tell you what, Adam, just for you, just as a treat, can you play Chrome Dino on stream? Yes, but I don't actually know how to access it without disconnecting from the internet, which is not compatible with... I wonder if you can do like Chrome Dino or something. It's worth a shot. Oh, here it is. Wow, that actually worked. All right, let me zoom in here. No internet. How do I start? Space? Oh, look at this. This looks so good on this big monitor. Oh, what a great start. Will, you still watching? We're playing Rocket League in 12 minutes. Actually means we'll be playing in an hour and 12 minutes because you're always late. Apparently my high score is 2,393. That seems pretty good compared to how I'm doing at the minute. It's so slow. I'm going to blame my laptop here. Frame rate is bad. I probably just need to restart my Mac. Oh, it beeped at me and I got scared. That's true. We've got to play Sea of Thieves tonight, Will. I haven't bought it or downloaded it yet, so I probably need to get on that. Fortunately, I have 500 meg down. Sorry, 700 down if you use Ethernet, so I can download it pretty quickly. All right, my goal is 200. If I get 200, then we're calling it a night. Oh, definitely going to end up accidentally swearing on stream here. Bottom of the MLH's Dino Score leaderboard. Who's at the top? $50. Oh. You told me to download it. Yeah, I've been busy. You should see my calendar, dude. I'm doing like 80 hours a week at the minute. I had 2 calls with hackathons earlier. 2 hackathons in the UK we might work with. Chris B is at the top. Oh, yeah. Beat Ryan. That is good. Really? Ryan must be really bad. Chris B is a solid dude. Like, he's always covering my shifts for MLH. Like, whenever I bail at the last minute because something else comes up, it's always Chris B who gets it. Ryan got 172. Ooh. Oh! Yes! We hit 200. All right, we can't stop there. Keep going. This beeping is like, I don't want to look at my heart rate right now on my Apple Watch. It's stressing me out, especially because it's so slow and so sluggish and unresponsive. 460. There we go. Not bad, eh? Beat Ryan by a factor of about 2.5. All right, let's wrap it up there, folks. You know what I just did? I said, let's wrap it up there, folks. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hit Command Q on my computer to close Chrome Dino, and of course I'm streaming using Chrome in StreamYard. So it ended up quitting StreamYard, stopping streaming at the same time. Can I get an F in the chat, please? Thank you, Will. Will, I'm going to call it a night tonight, but come on tomorrow. Maybe we'll do some Dino racing on stream as well. It's been fun. Thanks everybody for tagging along. We really enjoyed it. I hope it's been good, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye, everybody.